You've been told that growth comes through pain and speed, but that's a lie. Real growth comes from sustainable, built over time energy. You're not in a race, you're building a relationship. And like all relationships with your ancestors, your community, you yourself, you gotta slow down. The best relationships aren't flings, they're like long term commitments. It doesn't have to be painful or rushed. The idea that you need to push through discomfort at all times is a trap. It catches a lot of us. It used to catch me. Real sustainable growth comes from the balance of it all. It's about recognizing your emotions, negative and positive, are both guides for you. You listen, you learn, you integrate. If shame comes, shame teaches you a lesson and you continue on. You invite them over for tea and then you make them do the dishes afterwards. You don't dismiss or overwhelm any of them. You listen, learn, and integrate. It's all about that steady long term relationship building. Just like with your ancestors, just with like people, like with me. You don't meditate on ancestors every day for 3 months and then that's it, no more ancestor work. Growth is a patient endeavor done over years, not weeks. So today, reflect on your pace. Are you rushing through growth, avoiding it out of fear of discomfort? So scale back if you need to. Practice a sustainable approach to your emotions and your relationships, just as you would with your ancestors or with people. So embrace balance and then focus on the long term growth. If you resonated with this content, you'll resonate with the rest of my content. So check out my profile and my little linky links. You've been fooled into thinking that silence equals disconnection with your friends. It doesn't. The natural cycles of life mean that friendships wax and wane. It's time to stop believing that you can't rekindle a friendship just because time has passed. They're like cycles of nature. There's periods of growth, of rest, regrowth. Just because you haven't spoken to somebody in months, years, however long, it doesn't mean that the connection is lost. It can always be remade and rekindled. And silence doesn't always equal disconnection. It's just not true. Relationships have phases. In the quiet times, like a foundation is maintained. The real strength of a friendship is the ability to come back to each other and always connect and grow together. Reaching out isn't awkward. It's a sign of resilience, a sign of vulnerability that you can open yourself up again. So let's celebrate the ebb and flow. And don't be afraid to rekindle what you think is lost. Take a moment today, reach out to somebody you haven't spoken to in a while, and don't worry about explaining the time apart. Just check in. Be like, hey, I'm here for you. I'm here for you now. Friendship isn't about a constant communication, it's about the ability to reconnect. So start the conversation and watch how easily it comes back. You're living in denial. The world isn't dead. It's full of spirits you're choosing to ignore. Your apple tree out back, your home, even the rocks. The rocks have spirits and voices. Stop pretending they don't. Stop pretending you're alone. Talk to them, build a relationship, and watch the world come alive around you. You may have been taught before through the Western lens that objects are inanimate, but the world isn't dead. Everything you touched, everything you've grown, or that has grown out there, has a spirit. Building a relationship with these isn't like a yearly ritual. It's a daily interaction, a daily maintenance of a relationship. Talk to your apple tree, talk to your house, talk to your rocks around you. Treat them like friends, and when you personify them, they become grounding forces in your life. The world comes alive, filled with all these voices that you can hear, positive ones, if you're willing to listen. Spirits are everywhere, and building a sustainable relationship transforms your world. Today, pick an object or a part of nature in your environment and talk to it, like a tree, a rock, or even your house. Give it a voice, then treat it like a friend, and you can start building a relationship that way. Just introduce yourself. And be surprised at the world changing around you. If you've resonated with this content, you'll resonate with the rest of my content. Go ahead and interact and check out the rest. Stop being afraid of being misunderstood. They're not a threat. That's not a bad thing. They're your biggest opportunity to learn. When life throws you a curveball, it's not a failure, it's a chance for you to be a little wily and turn it into growth. Misunderstandings and hiccups aren't the problem, they're the way forward. And we've been taught to avoid them, we've been taught that they're pain in the past. But they're part of the universe's like trickster energy. When you face a challenge, like a misunderstanding, it's not a dead end, it's an opportunity. Channel your own inner trickster to deal with it all. Turn that energy into growth. Every time someone's mean to you or you get frustrated, there's always a lesson underneath, even if it's I have to set boundaries or I need this to grow. Resilience comes through reframing these hiccups as gifts from the universe. When you embrace these twists, you gain control of the universe and you start to grow from everything that comes your way. All energy is good for you. Today, reframe a recent understanding. Don't avoid it and face it head on. Ask yourself, what's the universe trying to teach me here? How can I turn this situation into something that helps me grow? So, practice seeing every hiccup as an opportunity for transformation and watch how your life shifts. Critique is for those who don't want power. You want to change the world? Then stop critiquing it. Humor and creation are the things you need to focus on. Laughing at the systems that oppress you takes their power away and gives it back to you. Like, critique might feel good, it doesn't really change anything. It doesn't create change. It's just a release valve for frustration. It real change comes from creation and humor. If you can laugh at what oppresses you, it loses its grip. Like a vampire stinging its fangs into evil, right? Every laugh takes a bite out of the power, and every creation takes a bite out of the power. Once you've disarmed it internally with your humor and created something going forward, you're actively shifting a better world instead of just critiquing and releasing your frustrations. Critique alone won't move you forward. Creation will. So today, take something that frustrates you and laugh at it, turn it into a joke, and then channel that energy you get from releasing the frustration into creating something meaningful that addresses the problem you were critiquing. Do something about it. Don't waste time on critique. If you resonated with this content, you'll resonate with the rest of the content. So interact and check out my link. You're lying to yourself. The older generations didn't fail. They built a foundation for our survival. Their struggles are the reason we're even here. My grandma is the reason I'm here. You can't move forward until you stop projecting the wisdom they left behind, even if you can reject the rest of it. The past hold lessons we can't afford to ignore. The struggles of older generations are not something to just dismiss wholeheartedly. Imperfections, failures, successes, they all contributed to the life we have today. Whether it's your ancestors or your elders, the lessons they've learned built the framework and passed it on to you and helps create a sustainable community. Of course, they made mistakes, but those mistakes are the reason you can do better now. Instead of focusing on their imperfections, focus on what we've been handed down, like resilience lessons and strength, and focus on the creation of a life from those lessons. Building a sustainable future means recognizing the value in the past, even when it's not perfect. All energy is good energy. Today, reflect on the struggles and successes of the older generations in your own lineage. What lessons can you take from them? How did their resilience shape the world you're in now? Reframe their imperfections as strength and build on the wisdom they've passed down. If you've resonated with this content, you'll resonate with the rest of my content. We've spent all week learning how to build sustainable relationships with resilience and reconnect with the community. So now you got to put it to work. Are you ready to let the lessons we've learned this week fuel your personal growth? I've learned a lot this week, from building sustainable relationships with your ancestors to finding power and humor and reconnecting with your community to using those past ancestors to guide you. Now it's time to integrate those lessons. Growth just isn't about absorbing information, it's taking action. So set boundaries that protect your energy, make decisions that align with your values, laugh at challenges instead of letting them hold you back, and most importantly, remember, survival and progress are rooted in community and the wisdom of those that came before you. So take a minute and reflect on the lessons that we've learned from the lessons this week, or the previous 6 TikToks, or the previous 6 videos. Where can you set healthier boundaries? How can you use humor to diffuse challenges? How will you apply the wisdom of your ancestors and your community in your own life? So the time for action is right now. Make changes that align with your values. If you've resonated with this content, you'll resonate with the rest of my content. Interact and check out my link.